I'm Suzanne with my girlfriend's quilt shop in Logan, Utah. And we're going to do some ruler demos today. And the one I've chosen to work with is the Curvy log cabin trim tool. This is the 8-inch one. Let me tell you a few things about the ruler. It has a center right here. This is the size that you're going to cut your center square. So it shows you right there this center square, and it's 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to take my piece of fabric that I already cut. One of the nice things that they've done for you is they've got little holes on here where you can see, you could mark it perfectly if you're fussy cutting or something. You can mark it perfectly so you know you're right within those 4 dots, and then you'll cut your 1/4 inch around that. And then with the ruler, it shows you cutting your narrow strips the size and the width of your the wide strips as well. So the narrow strips, we have to cut them at least 1 1/2 inches wide, and you can be wider. You'll just be trimming it down. You'll waste a little more fabric, which is not a big deal because it's going to turn out perfect. And then the wide strips have to be cut at least 2 1/4 inches. So I've gone ahead and cut mine that exact same size. And I'm just going to show you exactly how this gets laid out. So we will use this as a trim tool. It's not to, cut your strips or anything. So we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm going to start with my 1 3/4 inch square. It's the one square that you cut perfectly. So the rest of it, 2 1/4 or more, 1 1/2 or more for your strips, the wide strips or the narrow strips. So I'm going to start with the wide as my first round on my log cabin. So I'm going to put the next strip down, and the instructions will show you exactly the size to cut for this. But again, you're going to be trimming, so you'll have a lot of opportunity to make things perfect. So this will be your first round that you lay down. You'll sew those together, and then you can trim after that if you want to, but you don't have to. Then we're going to go with the narrow, and the narrows go on. So this is the second, I'm using the white here because that's going to be my narrow side of the curve. So those will go on, and we will end up with something that looks like this after that's all sewn together. So let me take those off there for you. So you see it doesn't look very much like a log cabin block yet because we've got to trim it. So I'm going to take this. I love these rotating mats. This is the Sue Daily, I believe, 16-inch, I think. I think we have them in our store. So they are great for when you have to trim all sides of something that you're working on. So I'm going to take my ruler, and you can see that it's marked with the wide round first, if you're doing wide, and then you're going to switch your ruler to trim the narrow side. So it's got a narrow square and a wide square. And this is fantastic because you're going to get a perfect layout right here. So you can see I've got a little dotted line right there. The square fits perfect in there. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that for you. So we'll get this one trimmed off. Get those out of my way. And then I'm going to twist it around and do the narrow side. I have to twist the ruler as well. So I'm going to put this square right on that center one. You can see my dotted lines line up right there and right here. And then I'm going to cut this part off. And then we'll have the perfect start to our curvy log cabin. All right. So that's what you're going to end up with right there. And now you just continue to add until you get to the outer edge of what size you want. So with this block, it has 3 of our rounds on the log cabin. So you can see we're already getting a good curve to that right there. It's going to curve just like that. And it makes a really nice, gentle curve for when you're putting a block together. There we go. So we'll trim that. And with this block, there's only 3 rounds to it. So after this, we're done. I get that cut okay? Yep. And then since this is the very last one, round 3, I'm just squaring the block to fit the 8 1/2 inch unfinished size. So you don't have to move this because this is round 3 for the wide and round 3 for the narrow as well. So you can just leave your ruler laying down on top of everything. Got that squared already, and then I've just got a small amount to take off. right here and right here. All right. So that completes an entire block. And it works out so perfectly. What's really nice about this is that because you're trimming on every round, it's really nice and square. So that's that one. Now, that's when I start with the light and then I use the dark or the wide next. Now, if I chose to use the light and then the narrow first, so I've got this one right here, which I've used all orange or just the color of the heart that you can make in the pattern. And it's going to be, I'll start with the, it really doesn't matter what color you start with as long as you get it to the 8.5 inch finished. So I did my center square, which is the orange as well. And then the outer, the first one, then the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, and sixth one. So we have 3 rows on that one as well. So I'm going to go ahead and square this one up really quick, get my dotted lines on as best I can, and then we're going to square this one. And then this will all be this solid color. Oh, let me get that in there. That is part of the pattern. And you'll see that in the heart, there's 4 or 6 of these that are all just the color of the heart. So did I get all that cut okay? Oh, it's so wonderful having a sharp blade. Okay, so there's the center like that. So these can lay out together like this. Oh, let me put that over here. Put another one in. This is the other top. Like those make a nice half circle right there. I've made them before where I've made a full circle out of these. This one, of course, wouldn't be right since I don't have any background in it, but you can see it's a pretty easy tool to use. Pretty self-explanatory. If you've made a log cabin before, you won't have any trouble with this at all. One other thing I want to tell you about the Creative Grids ruler. These all come with a QR code on them, like right there. Has the design of what you're going to be making and ways that you can lay it out. And they also comes with its own set of instructions inside. Thanks for joining us today. If you want our pattern, we will have that linked. We'll also have links for the ruler. And if you like what you saw, please follow us on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.